actually the fourth generation Oklahoman. My great-grandfather and grandfather came to Indian Territory in the 1870s, so been in Oklahoma a long time. My granddad was a founding member of the Oklahoma City Stockyards in 1910. The family had a meatpacking plant, a slaughterhouse, and so I've grown up in agriculture. I think I was at the Oklahoma City Stockyards the second day after I was born. My dad took me out there, so it's a long time history with the cattle business and being around agriculture folks, and buying cattle in the country. I started to work for the Department of Agriculture in 2011. I was in Oklahoma State Game Warden for 14 years and worked at the Woodward County Sheriff's Office as their investigator for a couple of years. I actually live in northwest Oklahoma, about 30 miles south of Woodward, near the town of Mutual or Byside, right on the Woodward-Dewey County line. And moved there in 2002, but it's home now. I moved there as a game warden, and I've came to work doing what I do now. But it's fortunate that it's a great opportunity to serve the ranchers and farmers in Oklahoma. As an agent with the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, we investigate agriculture crimes, cattle theft, equipment theft, tractors, that kind of stuff. My district covers approximately 13 counties in the northwest part of the state, from Watonga area in Blaine County all the way through the Panhandle out to the New Mexico-Colorado line out by Boise City and Kenton. So we drive a lot of miles. There's only 8 of us in the state, 8 field agents, and so the month of January I was in central and southwest Oklahoma helping some other guys for a big part of that month. So we travel a lot and we recover multi-million dollars worth of stolen cattle and equipment every year, and it's the vast majority of that comes from farmers and ranchers. We all know in agriculture, we know what cattle and farm equipment and various supplies are worth, and we all work hard. Most all of our guys. I have cows and cow calves. We all know how hard it is to work to make an operation survive, and that's why it's very rewarding to do this job. We don't catch everybody. That's a given, but we catch a lot of people that we investigate. We just have for only an 8-man operation, we recover several $1 million worth of stolen cattle and property each year, which is pretty good. Until approximately 10 years ago, we just had agents in eastern Oklahoma to work those timber thefts and crime related to the forestry industry. When Terry Peach became the Commissioner of Agriculture 12 years ago, he saw the need for agents of the Department of Agriculture to be across the state, so he developed a program through the Department of Agriculture and implemented it, and was able to get investigators put in all parts of the state. There's 8 investigators and field investigators. Only 2 of us work primarily in western Oklahoma, so a majority of our guys are in eastern Oklahoma. There's more activity there for them, but we have a lot more counties to work out here, so needless to say, we're all very busy. We never get up and have to worry that we don't have anything to do. We wish that wasn't the case. We wish we could get up every day and nobody was breaking the law, but there's always somebody out there wanting to prey on the guys just out working, trying to make a living. Today we're working on a case from Alfalfa County, Oklahoma, where there was 6 head of cattle stolen, and don't really have any suspects, so we've been going to sale barns today and looking through records and looking for people maybe that don't normally go to the sale barn that are selling cattle, and the number or type matches what we're missing, and then maybe we can develop a suspect through that. It's, you know, and the odds are, I mean, it's tough solving these cases, but in reality, I think our agents of the cattle that are reported stolen to us, we recover or account for 30 or 40% of the cattle that are stolen. We're able to recover them or to find out where they went and get charges filed on a suspect. And you know, that's always, you have your TV stolen or something out of your house, the odds of you getting that back are probably not very good. So we actually have a good recovery rate, but it's frustrating because we would like to have more. I mean, we want to catch everybody that is violating the law, but that doesn't, unfortunately, that doesn't happen. We get, you know, we'll get charges filed and the jails are full, and a lot of these guys, like the last 2 or 3 that I've presented charges on to the district attorney's office, it's been the second time that I've caught them. I've caught them before, they put them in prison for a few months or a year, and they get out, and I end up catching them again. So it's we see quite a few repeat offenders, and that's frustrating that you catch them and they don't spend much time in prison, but that's just the way it is. So we do the best we can. That's all we do, is do our job and try to catch these people. And I've had times people have been in the hospital and somebody knows they're in the hospital and they go in and steal their cattle while they're sick in the hospital. You know, that's hard to even imagine, but it's nice to try to put together an investigation where, you know, justice will hopefully be served and the people will be punished for what they've done. Our guys, I mean, not only cattle theft and agriculture stuff, our agents also investigate wildland grass fires. The fires last year that we had out in western Oklahoma and all over the state. We had some terrible ones in western Oklahoma in the last couple of years, and our guys we have 2 of our agents that have received extensive training on wildland fires, and they actually, the state of Washington actually requested them to come out a few months ago to help their officers with some fire investigations, which that speaks volumes as far as their experience and their ability to figure out where a fire started, what caused that fire, investigate that fire, and bring that arsonist to justice. And just because a wildland fire starts, that doesn't always mean it's arson. I mean, several of them last year that developed into big fires, our investigators ruled they were not, they were not arson. They were started in other ways. I mean, several of them started on the roadway. It was carbon that comes out of a vehicle. It's several hundred degrees temperature, and the dry grass of northwest Oklahoma, it just starts fires. When you first look at that, it's a fire along the roadway, you're thinking about maybe somebody's driving along starting that fire, but it's not necessarily the case. But it's our guys to figure out what caused that, and if it was accidental or an arsonist out starting fires. Also in eastern Oklahoma, our agents do a lot of timber theft investigation. The timber industry in eastern Oklahoma is, you know, just a big source of income for those counties. Another thing that our agents do in Oklahoma, which is pretty unique, is Department of Agriculture. We oversee the licensing and permitting of items associated with feral hogs or wild hogs. There's people now that have helicopters that go up and people pay them, and the customer gets to ride in the helicopter and shoot these feral hogs. So feral hogs are a tremendous problem in Oklahoma. They cause millions of dollars worth of damage every year in a farm country. You know, it's the guy's got a nice Bermuda grass bottom, irrigated Bermuda, and all of a sudden he goes in there and it looks like there's been 100 rototillers in there. Those hogs get in there and rototill the ground up, and it just causes a lot of damage. They compete against the native wildlife for food sources and habitat. We investigate the transportation and the aerial hunting of these hogs. For instance, it is against the law in Oklahoma. You cannot trap a wild or feral hog, haul it somewhere else, and release it into the wild. It's actually a felony in Oklahoma to release a wild hog into the wild, and then that's, in a lot of ways, you go, man, it's pretty harsh that it's a felony to release a hog. But when you look at the millions of dollars of damage done to Oklahoma's farm and ranch country and wildlife habitat over hogs out there ridding up the countryside, it's a little easier to understand why that is a felony, and that it needs to be a felony that's take it pretty serious. I presented a case in Beaver County out in the Panhandle. A man turned some hogs out, and it was turning hogs out in the middle of ranch country. Clearly, it was not well received. The landowner, the neighboring landowners, the ranchers out there, the court system all took that very serious and prosecuted the man for felony charges of releasing hogs into the wild. It's also in Oklahoma. We encourage people to trap hogs. That's the most effective way. A lot of hogs get hunted, and shot or hunted with dogs. But the most effective way is trapping these hogs. And you don't need any licensing to trap a hog, but it is against the law. After you trap that hog, you're required to kill it at that time. You cannot transport a live hog. We have an administrative fine system that it's actually around $1,000 a hog if you're caught transporting one of these feral hogs without a permit. You can get a permit through the Department of Agriculture to do so, but if you're hauling that hog, it has to go to a licensed sporting facility where people hunt these hogs, and which is licensed through the state or through a slaughterhouse kill facility that will butcher those hogs. But a lot of these hogs get transported and taken to other areas, and that's where a lot of the spread of these feral swine takes place. Is just maybe people trying to increase their hunting opportunities, and they've been driving 40 miles to hunt a hog, and so they trap some and turn them out in their area of the state, and that way they don't have to drive as far to hunt them, which they are fun to hunt. But when you look at the damage those hogs do, those guys turn them out and don't understand how much damage they're doing. As far as the criminal aspect of our thefts, we investigate, unfortunately, and it's that way with any crimes in Oklahoma. A large percentage of it is connected to methamphetamines. Usually that's a drug of choice in Oklahoma. These guys are, guys or girls, it's not just guys. I mean, I've arrested females for stealing cattle or stealing agriculture stuff. So they grow up in the country. Maybe their parents, grandparents had cattle, farm equipment. They know the value of that. They know how to load them. They know where to take those cattle. It's a quick way to get money. They can steal those cattle, take them to the sale barn, and get 100% value. They steal a TV and go sell it at the pawn shop. They may get 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, but they know they sell that mama cow or that calf or some 500 weight steers. They know what those bring. It's pretty quick money, and then they turn right around and go buy methamphetamines with it, which is bad in itself, but because of that drug habit, they just go victimize these guys that are out working their tails off to make a living, and that's why we like working hard to catch them. We drive a lot of miles. I may get a call I may be in Guyman one day and in Muskogee helping another agent the next day, but we, like investigating a cattle theft, we go to that, we go to the scene, we question the victim, a lot of times, and it's bad to say, but a lot of times it's a hired hand, a family member, like a grandson gets on using illegal drugs and he knows what the value of those cattle are that his granddad owns, and he goes and steals them, so we try to figure out any possible suspects. One we're working on today, we just really don't have any suspects. They had a bunch of 5-week cattle pinned up, weaning them, and they come in and mowed them out, and they're missing 6. They just don't know. There was 100 and some head in the little catch pen there, several acre catch pen, and there was they were in and out of the place a bunch, so any tire tracks or, were driven over multiple times, and just no evidence was there. So if we don't have suspects, we go to a sale barn like we did today. We look through the bill-in paperwork, the receipts, that when the livestock seller when they bring cattle to the sale barn, they're given paperwork showing what they brought in, the date, type of cattle, the weights, etc. We just look through that paperwork to see if anything catches our eye that might lead us to a suspect. Maybe if somebody that's never sold cattle there, or maybe the sale barn people. I have some good sale barns in northwestern Oklahoma that if things don't look right, they call me. I'm very fortunate. My sale barns do a good job. They may, we know what cattlemen look like for the most part. Some outlaw-looking person shows up and they look like they're on drugs and they unload 14 steers. That's kind of a clue that something may not be right, and that doesn't mean that's always the case, but these sale barns will give me a call and say, hey, you need to look into this. We develop suspects that way, and a lot of times on those, we've recovered cattle even before the victim even knew they were missing. We've had that happen multiple times. We've had cattle show up that still have the ear tag with the victim's name and phone number in them, but the guy that brought them in just didn't look like a cattleman. So call the number on the ear tag, and the guy says, no, I'm not missing any cattle. And we tell him you might want to go look again. And he doesn't even know he's a victim until we call him. So, but many times, depending on the year, a victim may not even know that his cattle are gone for several days. And then even when he realizes they're gone, he doesn't call immediately because, as we all know, or no matter how good your fence is, cattle get out sometimes. So they look for a few days thinking, well, maybe they're on the neighbors, or so a lot of times it may be 2 weeks before we get a call. So we're going to crime scene 2 weeks after it happens. So evidence tends to disappear, but we say you just go to those sale barns and look. If there's a guy from a lot of these areas, we'll know the people, but if there's a guy that is taking cattle that we've had them drive 150 miles away to deliver 4 head of cattle, that's not normal. So you think, well, something's not right with that. He drove by 3 good sale barns to take them someplace several hours away. We develop needs that way. Sometimes you never get a lead. That's just the way it is, and we don't like getting beat. But that's sometimes there's no evidence, no suspects. Cattle may go into another state. Kansas, we work with Kansas investigators quite a bit. Texas investigators quite a bit, and we share notes, share information, and we've made several cases that way. I have cattle. My family have been in the cattle business, buying cattle, a feed yard, and for 4 generations. My granddad was in the land run of '89. These are my people that are the farmers and ranchers of Oklahoma and other states. These cattle stolen in Kansas, we want to take care of those landowners too. And just knowing that we've done our job and justice was served. As far as we present it to the district attorney's office. What they do with them, I mean, we have no control over, but we've worked hard, we've done our job, and we've done everything in our power to bring that thief to justice, and that those people that have manure on their boots just like we do, just that they know that we try. We're never going to catch everybody, but people want to know that you're at least trying to work hard to catch the people that stole their property. Just a thank you and a handshake, and we all know what a handshake means in rural America. That's our contract. Whether that handshake is when I'm buying cows, or that handshake is from that landowner that you've helped recover his cattle, you know what that handshake means. So that is, the most rewarding, that we hopefully can make a difference and bring justice to people that's victimize our farmers and ranchers.